Hello, welcome to the interview here on France 24. Well, did the CIA fail to share vital information that could have prevented the 9/11 terror attacks? My guest today has no doubts. He says absolutely yes. Ali Soufan is a former FBI special agent, and he was also played a key role in the interrogations of al-Qaeda suspects in the post-9/11 period. Now, 11 years after the worst terror attacks in U.S. history, Mr. Soufan basically says the CIA is going out of its way to do everything possible to discredit his version of what happened, the events surrounding 9/11, and trying to make sure that the full truth and his full story does not come out. He also claims that, contrary to what a lot of people in the CIA have said in the past, torture and waterboarding were absolutely not effective tools in getting information out of terror suspects. On the contrary, they may have actually set back the fight against the war on terror. Thanks very much. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Your book, you've written a book which you've described as the Black Banners. It's the ultimate manual for anyone, you say, who really wants to understand al-Qaeda, wants to understand the fight against the war on terror. This book has been published in the US and the UK, but only parts of it. Large chunks are redacted, censored, gagged. We see just black. Why is that? It's not the FBI that redacted it, it's the CIA. What don't they want us to know in your book?
Well, it talks a little bit about 9/11, about what happened, when we knew about what, where, and when. We also talk about enhanced interrogation techniques towards the end. And
enhanced interrogation.
Enhanced interrogation techniques,
torture.
And it has many different definitions. We talk about enhanced interrogation techniques, and we focus on the information or the claims of successes. And basically I say, look, I was there, and that's exactly how we got the information. These parts have been redacted. And I think by redacting the book, they gave the truth. By redacting the book, they gave a big service for the truth, because now you can only redact what's true, because it has to be real intelligence for it to be redacted. And I think now basically they proved to the world that the version of the story of the Black Banner is a true version.
So when and if this book actually is published in its full version, what you're saying is people basically know, this must really be true.
Yeah, and everybody knows my position. Everybody knows why I am against enhanced interrogation techniques, not because of the moral issue. That's a totally different topic, but also because of the efficacy issue. And I truly believed it didn't work, and I based my belief on first-hand account. And I talk about that first-hand account.
In your book.
So exactly, and I think when you look at the book and you see what's redacted from the book, you will know that, based on these redacted things, I formed my opinion to be against it.
You were among the very first people to interrogate Abu Zubaydah, who was one of the key suspects behind these terror attacks. You interrogated him before the CIA ever hired an outside contractor for these so-called enhanced interrogation techniques. What sort of information did you get out of him without torture?
We get significant amount of information. We get information regarding, pending threats. We get information regarding Al-Qaeda. We even get information that identified Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, KSM, as being the mastermind.
How did you do it, though? But you were in the room with him. You were interrogating him.
It was a difficult interrogation because he was wounded, and we're trying to basically, keep him alive and treat him, and in the same time get valuable information that we cannot wait, until tomorrow to get. So we're trying to balance these two things, but we did it within the boundaries of any law and especially our laws and our Constitution.
This is my next question, because there's been such a debate about torture, and to this day, the former Vice President Dick Cheney, he defends torture, he defends waterboarding. He says, in crisis times, this is unfortunately the method that works. And my question, though, is still the same. Not to condone torture, but how do you get information out of a terror suspect who is not inclined to speak to you at all without using forceful methods?
Well, there's many ways, and people are trained to do these kind of things. And we won a war against Nazi Germany, against communism. We won the Cold War. We won battles all over the world, and we did not have to go to enhanced interrogation techniques or torture or violate our own rules and regulations. And I spoke in details in my statement to the Senate, which is, by the way, the only statement under oath regarding this. So it's easy for different people to say, yes, it works and that's what we need. But when it's time to raise the right hand and testify under oath, suddenly you don't see anyone over there. So my statement is the only statement under oath regarding this, and we didn't need it. And enhanced interrogation techniques was only used between August of 2002 and 2005. It was shelved, actually,
For 3 years.
under the Bush administration. Now, regarding the efficacy, it is he said, she said. But let's look at the CIA's Inspector General report. The CIA Inspector General report was first initiated because so many CIA officers came back from these black sites and said, look, you know, that's not American. And that
They
can
had real
hurt.
questions, real
exactly,
concerns.
exactly,
Yeah.
and that can hurt the interests of the United States and the image of the CIA down the road.
So these were CIA agents
CIA.
themselves saying this. So this suggests it was really the upper ups in the administration who wanted to continue with this.
Sure. I mean, it is not a CIA versus FBI. I hate when sometimes they try to make sound bites. It's like CIA.
It wasn't a turf war here.
Actually,
Yeah.
as I testified in the Senate, a colleague of mine from CIA left the site of where Abu Zubaydah was. He left even before I did. So, so the CIA IG, Inspector General, conducted an internal investigation, reviewed every single piece of document available, interviewed all the people who were involved in the program, and he came with a conclusion. He said he couldn't prove that one single imminent threat was stopped because of the use of EITs.
Because the EIT.
And this is the CIA's own Inspector General.
Let me ask you something else. The torture is obviously a giant issue. We could talk about it all day. But your actual allegations that the CIA knew about a lot of these suspects, several of them, before September 11th. You were in Yemen on the day of the attacks.
Yes.
In Africa. You were in Yemen working on an investigation of the USS Cole, an earlier attack. It was the next day. Tell us what happened. You met with a CIA officer at the embassy in Yemen, and he handed you an envelope with some interesting information.
Well, the envelope included photos of individuals that we have been, looking for a while in connection to the USS Cole investigation, and we've been asking for month. It started, I think, the first time in November of 2000. About a meeting that allegedly took place.
For a year, you had been asking for this information.
Almost. That allegedly took place in Southeast Asia. We're looking for these individuals in Yemen and other places, and we found out that at least some people in our own government know that they were in the United States.
Why did he give you the envelope then? What was the significance of the day after the attacks also?
Well, because we've been asking for this information, and I go in details about it in the book in explaining it, why, the information came up, how did we know that there was a meeting going on in Southeast Asia, and this is as part of an interrogation during the USS Cole, connected to the USS Cole investigation early on. So we found out that basically these people were in the United States, and we found out that these people were actually
and the CIA
possibly hijackers.
The CIA had known this. One of your central claims is that had you been privy to this information earlier, had you known this information before September 11th, these attacks, if not, they could have perhaps been prevented.
Look, I personally have no doubt in my mind about this. However, don't take my word for it. Look at the 9/11 Commission. In the 9/11 Commission, one of their main findings was if that information was passed to the FBI team investigating the USS Cole, this is the 9/11 Commission saying that, 9/11 could have been intercepted at its early stages. This is a bipartisan commission. It wasn't an FBI commission. It wasn't a CIA commission. There was a significant intelligence failure, and that unfortunately led to event that not only tragically, manifested itself on 9/11, but unfortunately also changed the world.
11 years later, we still have the fight against the so-called war on terror, the fight against Al-Qaeda. goes on as much as ever. Even today, a top official was reported killed in Al-Qaeda. How much of a blow do you think knocking out Osama bin Laden was?
It was a significant blow, but Al-Qaeda was extremely weak even before bin Laden was killed. The organization lost many of their members, lost many of their top leadership, lost the credibility in the Muslim world. They killed more Muslims than they killed, their alleged enemies. The massacres that they committed in Iraq and they continue to commit created a wedge between them and the mainstream Muslim population. So the organization was extremely weak. And also it did not help what happened with the Arab Spring, where people determined or felt that they can change their own destiny with their own hands. They don't need to attack embassies or attack the United States or take hostages to do so. And when they do it right, the West, led by the United States, will be in their corner. So the whole rhetoric of global jihad didn't become significant part of on the international stage, and now we have more local jihads going on.
Ali Soufan, unfortunately, we are going to have to leave there. We've run out of time, but we've been talking about the whole war against terror, Al-Qaeda, where we stand, and hopefully your book will come out at some point, unredacted.
We hope
The Black
so.
Banners about the war against Al-Qaeda. Thank you very much, former FBI agent Ali Soufan, for being my guest today. Thanks to all of you for watching.